Ladies, gentlemen, good morning. As is my way when I speak, I always start by saying thank you to Christ for everything He's given me. Thank you to my parents for immigrating here, because I would never have had the opportunities in Mexico that I've had here. And thank you to the United States of America for being the best darn country on the planet. And lastly, I always give thanks to the Army. Never in a million years did I think growing up in Baldwin Park that I could become a clinical, forensic, aeromedical psychologist, colonel, the experiences I had in the Army. Never in a million years did I think I would have any of that. So, where to begin? Where to begin to honor you all? And I was struggling with where to begin. I was grappling whether discussing Carlos Hathcock or Roy Benavides, but this morning I'm going to talk a little bit about Captain Samuel Byrd. By a show of hands, how many of you recognize the name Captain Samuel Byrd? That's what I thought I did. Now, by a show of hands, how many of you, whether you saw the original or on YouTube or a historical channel, how many of you have seen the funeral procession for President John F. Kennedy? By a show of, there we go. All of you who just raised your hands have seen Captain Samuel Byrd. He was the tall Army captain at the very front of the procession for President Kennedy. He was doing well in his career, and you all know if you're already a captain and you haven't gone to Vietnam during that era, you were not going to Vietnam. Probably staying in the Beltway, Pentagon, so-and-so. But Captain Byrd chose to volunteer to go to Vietnam. And the way you all did it back then, again, you all did the new service members, the new soldiers, the new Marines, you all did it in onesies and twosies. You didn't do it the way we did it in my era, where the entire unit goes, the entire unit comes home. So Samuel Byrd arrives to Vietnam, infantry commander, did his 12 months leading from the front. From all accounts, he was a wonderful company commander. The problem is most of his soldiers had one more month after him. And so he volunteered to stay one more month. During that last month, that 13th month, he was gravely wounded. He survived, but he had massive injuries, open head injuries, and other injuries throughout his body. And for 17 years, he suffered through these injuries. And you can literally Google, there are numerous interviews with Captain Samuel Byrd. And he would often say he would do it again in a heartbeat. They often asked him, did he have any regrets of volunteering to go to Vietnam? And his answer was no, he'd do it again. And he would always finish by saying, unlike many of my brothers, I made it home. That was the kind of soldier, or rather, that was the kind of leader, soldier, officer, and commander that he was till the end of his days. What shocks me about that era is that you all literally did not have any support in terms of behavioral health. The term PTSD did not exist in your era. Now let's fast forward to my era. First push into Iraq in 2003, we had PTSD. We have docs running around the field, around the battlefield. 2005, again, we've got behavioral health support on the battlefield. No matter where I went in Iraq, we were there, and commanders actually cared. That was a big shift from your era. From your era, you were deprecated if you had behavioral health needs. Fast forward to 2005, support for behavioral health care from commanders. By the time I did my last tour in Afghanistan, 2012, 2013, whenever I did battlefield circulation from Kandahar down to Bastion Leatherneck, west to Iran, east to Pakistan, the commanders were all over it. So on the active duty side, massive shift. Absolutely a massive shift. If you think back, how was behavioral health care viewed in World War II? And we all probably have that image from the movie of General Patton slapping a soldier in the hospital who has obvious severe PTSD. By the time I retired in 2023, if a commander did not actually authentically care for their service members, they were relieved of duty for cause, as they should be. So I think we're well on the way to providing the next generation of warfighters the support they deserve. So what does this have to do with you all? And I really want to hammer this last point. If you've got stuff that you're still carrying around, or if you know someone who's carrying stuff, whether it's from combat, military sexual trauma, or anything else going on in your lives, you absolutely deserve top-notch support. Please don't be hesitant to go get that support. Don't be hesitant to drag your buddy to get that support. I've known many vets, and I'll end with this last very brief story. My much older brother-in-law was a tunnel rat during the Vietnam era. And for as long as I've known him, I've told him, Gene, you're carrying around a lot of stuff. I think, I'm your brother-in-law and I'm a doc and all that, but you gotta go talk to a doc. And in the last couple of years, he's actually headed over to Loma Linda, and he's got a doc to talk to and a group, and he's starting to process these experiences. And the reason it's important is because even though he's a lot older than I am, I want to make sure that when Christ calls him home, that he's at peace, because he deserves to be at peace, and you all deserve to be at peace. Thank you very much. I'm embarrassed, and sir, thank you. I'm honored.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is another distinguished guest.